Welcome to today's 5-minute Bible study in the book of Hebrews. Today we begin Hebrews chapter 7. And with chapter 7, the author of Hebrews returns to the topic of Melchizedek. I talked about Melchizedek before. We saw this in chapter 5 when he was letting us know that Jesus is our great high priest who has made atonement for our sins. But he said Jesus was a priest forever in the order of Melchizedek. Quoting from Psalms 110, which is a messianic psalm, that the Messiah will be a priest forever in the order of Melchizedek. So Jesus is a priest, but not in the Levitical priesthood. He's not a descendant of Aaron. He does not belong to the tribe of Levi, but Jesus is a priest in the order of Melchizedek. Now in chapter 7, he returns to that and going to give us a little more information, a little more detail about what that means, about who Melchizedek was. And this discussion he begins in chapter 7 will actually extend for the next few chapters. For he'll talk about Jesus' priesthood, and then he'll also begin to talk about worship in the old tabernacle and how that was prophetic of the ministry that Jesus would perform in what he phrases as the heavenly tabernacle. But all that is to come in the next few chapters. But notice how he begins chapter 7 talking about Melchizedek again. Now this Melchizedek was the king of Salem, and he was a priest of God Most High. He met Abraham returning from the defeat of the kings, and he blessed him. And Abraham gave him 1/10 of everything. Now first, the name Melchizedek means king of righteousness. And also king of Salem means king of peace. Without father or mother, without genealogy, without beginning of days or end of life, he resembles the Son of God. He remains a priest forever. Okay, so about Melchizedek, whom we meet in Genesis chapter 14, when Abraham is returning from the defeat of the kings. And this Melchizedek meets him and blesses him as a priest of God Most High. And then Abraham gives him 1/10, a tithe of the plunder from the defeat of the kings. Now, this is the only time in the Bible we meet Melchizedek. He just only pops up, this brief appearance, and then we never see him again. He is referred to later in Psalms 110, as we mentioned, as a priest, whom the Messiah will be a priest in the same order. He will be a priest in the order of Melchizedek. So who was this Melchizedek? Well, we're told he was the king of Salem. Now, this is the city that will later be known as Jerusalem, Salem. The king of Salem. So at this time in history, the days of Abraham, Melchizedek is the king of that area. He's not a descendant of the people of God. That is, he is not of the same line of Abraham. Abraham really begins the people of God, but he's not related to Abraham. But he is a worshiper of God. He is a priest of God Most High. Now that's fascinating, because at this time in history, most of the peoples worshipped false gods, pagan idols. But here we meet this Melchizedek who knew the true God. He not only knew the true God, but he is a priest of the true God. He is a priest of God Most High. Now the author of Hebrews says he is prophetic of Christ. That is, he is the king of Salem. Salem itself is the Hebrew word for peace. He is the king of peace. When the Messiah comes, when Jesus comes, he will be the king of peace. So Melchizedek is the king of Salem, the king of peace, but also he is the king of righteousness. Now that's what the name Melchizedek means. The word itself, Melchizedek, means king of righteousness. And of course, when the Messiah comes, when Jesus comes, he will be the king of righteousness. So Melchizedek, in so many ways, his appearance in Genesis is prophetic of when the Messiah will come. For when the Messiah comes, and that is Jesus, he will be the king of righteousness, and he will be the king of peace. And the fact that he gives blessing to Abraham is also prophetic of the coming of the Messiah. Remember, the promise to Abraham was that of your seed will come the one who will be a blessing to all the nations. He will be the blessing for all. He's going to bring salvation for all. So we see that sort of prophetically told here in Melchizedek, the king of righteousness, the king of peace, giving blessing to Abraham, through whom the Messiah will come, and then that blessing will be for all the peoples. So this is a very prophetic section. That's why we understand that Jesus is a priest forever in the order of Melchizedek. The one who will bring peace, and the one who will bring righteousness, and the one who will bring blessing to all the world. The coming Messiah is all foretold prophetically in Melchizedek coming to meet and bless Abraham. And that's what the author of Hebrews is referring to. Now there's more. He has a little bit more to say. We'll look at that tomorrow. So be here for our next session in our 5-minute Bible study in the book of Hebrews.